London, 1943. You're not a corpse, not yet. But tonight, your identity will be stolen, your past rewritten, and your dead body used to deceive Hitler. No uniform on you, no ID in your pocket. Just lying on a cold metal table under a forensic lamp. Two men are watching you. One's a doctor, the other's a spy, both asking the same question. Can this man make history? It doesn't matter to you anymore. You died at 34, a Scottish working-class nobody. But they're gonna resurrect you. This time as an officer. This time as a hero. This time as a lie that'll change the fate of the war. Let's rewind. We're in the darkest days of World War II. The Allies could go down in one move. Because Hitler's got an advantage, geography. Two options to enter Europe. Sicily, too obvious. Greece, too risky. But Wehrmacht intelligence ain't stupid. They know the logical play is landing in Sicily. If the Allies try going there, the Germans will be locked and loaded. The result? A massacre. Beaches turning into bloodbaths, thousands of soldiers dying before they even hit the shore. The report sitting on Churchill's desk is clear. Sicily is suicide. But there's no other option. It's this beach or nothing. That's when somebody came up with a diabolical idea. In the dark halls of MI5, there was a lawyer named Ewan Montague. But he wasn't just a lawyer. He was part of the XX Committee, Double X, Double Cross, the covert unit that existed to deceive the Germans. These guys were so good at lying that even their own colleagues couldn't tell what was real and what was fake. Montague had a crazy plan in his head. Plant fake documents on a corpse, let it drift to the Spanish coast. When the Germans find it, they'll believe it. Because dead men don't lie, right? Wrong. If you write the story right, the dead become the most convincing liars of all. Montague pitched the plan to Churchill. The room froze. The silence was so thick, you could hear the clock on the wall ticking. Churchill took a deep drag from his cigar, exhaled the smoke, and said, "Too dirty, too immoral, too perfect." The plan was greenlit. Codename, Operation Mincemeat. No accident with that name. Because they were gonna use that corpse like ground meat. Grind it down, reshape it, and serve it up to the enemy. But there was one problem. The operation needed a real body. Montague went to forensic expert Charles Bentley. "I need a corpse," he said. "Has to look drowned at sea. Young, healthy looking, and no ID?" Bentley frowned. "So you want to steal a dead body?" Montague smiled. "No, I want to give him a new life." Bentley started scanning morgue records. Most bodies didn't fit. Too old, too sick, or they had families. Then you showed up? Glyndwr Michael, 34 years old, poor, homeless, nobody. You'd killed yourself by eating rat poison. In the morgue records, you were just a number, but to them, you were perfect. Bentley examined your corpse. Poisoning mimics drowning pathologically. Fluid in the lungs, pale skin, perfect match. But there was one detail. Your body had to stay fresh for weeks, because you needed to look like you'd been drifting at sea. Here's the problem. Decomposition can't be stopped. Slowed down, but not stopped. The solution? They put you in a metal tank filled with dry ice. Below zero, pitch black, waiting. Weeks passed since your death, but your body still looked freshly dead. And during that time, the MI5 team was writing you a new identity. Your new name, William Martin. Rank, Royal Marines Major. Mission, military courier. Your backstory, a London-based officer with a fiancée, bit of a fun guy. Every detail crafted carefully. Fake photos planted in your wallet. Your fiancée was someone named Pam. In reality, a secretary working at MYE-5. They'd snapped her photo in a changing room, added a note saying, "Darling." They put London train tickets in your pocket, overdue bills in your wallet. Why? Because real people are messy. Real people had debts, matchbox in your jacket, cigarette pack in your pocket. These weren't just props. These were psychological details. Wehrmacht intelligence would see these and think, this guy's real. But the real payload was in the documents in your briefcase. MI5 crafted fake letters. One suggested the British Army would invade Greece. Another claimed Sicily was just a feint, a diversion. The letters were so expertly written that the military jargon, signatures, seals, everything checked out. Some letters even appeared to be written from real generals to real generals. Of course, they had no clue. Montague had their signatures forged. These documents alone could change the war. But only if the Germans found them and believed them. April 30th, 1943, British submarine HMS Seraph approached the Spanish coast. On deck, inside a rubber bag, there you were, William Martin, uniform on, briefcase over your shoulder. The crew was silent because they didn't know what they were doing. They'd only been told a body would be dropped at sea. Captain Bill Jewell stared at the water. There was a strange feeling in his eyes. Respect? Sorrow? Or just cold pragmatism? The submarine surfaced. It was dark. The moon hid behind the clouds. Perfect timing. Two soldiers unzipped the bag. Your cold, rigid face appeared. Someone said, "God rest his soul." Then they pushed you into the sea. Your body floated on the surface for a moment, then slowly started sinking. But wait, you weren't supposed to sink. The plan required you to drift on the surface and wash ashore, panic on the sub. Was the life vest not enough? But then the current caught you. Your body resurfaced, and the waves began dragging you toward the Huelva coast. Seraph quietly submerged. While the crew wondered if they'd made history, you drifted alone in the dark waters. As a lie, as a weapon, as a ghost. Morning came. Spanish fishermen found you. A fisherman named Jose Antonio Rey Maria was hauling in his nets when he saw your corpse. He screamed. Others ran over. You wore a British uniform, briefcase on your shoulder. They all understood one thing. This is an officer. And he's dead. Rey called local authorities. Spain was technically neutral, but practically Nazi sympathetic. Franco's regime secretly collaborated with the Germans. Local Spanish officials seized your body. But official protocol was clear. If a British officer is found dead, the British consulate must be notified. But first, they'd check his documents. Of course, Spanish intelligence opened your briefcase. They saw military letters inside, immediately photographed them, and sent copies to the German Abwehr. This was exactly what MI5 wanted. But now came the critical part. Would the Germans believe it? Abwehr agents began examining the documents. They analyzed every word, checked the signatures, tested the paper quality, ran ink analyses. They even had an autopsy performed on your body. Doctors wrote a report. Drowning, approximately 8 to 10 days in the water, no trauma, natural death in water. Everything checked out. The report went to Berlin. They decoded it. Allies will attack Greece. Sicily is just a diversion. Hitler read the documents. A slight smile crossed his face. The British are trying to deceive us, but I've seen through their game. They say they'll attack Sicily, but they're actually going to Greece. So transparent. Wait, Hitler drew the opposite conclusion. But then his intelligence chief told him, "No, mein Führer, the documents say Greece." Hitler paused. He hesitated, and then made the most critical decision in history. Fortify Greece. Send reinforcements there. Bingo. Wehrmacht troops withdrew from Sicily. Tank divisions were sent to Greece. Coastlines were mined. Air defenses were set up. The men were in the wrong place, waiting for the wrong defense? And your dead body created this delusion. Montagu was in London, listening to German radio codes. Thanks to the Ultra Project, they could read every order in the Nazi chain of command. When the Reinforce Greece order came through, Montagu smiled alone in his room. Then he opened a bottle of whiskey and raised his glass. To William Martin, he said, "Our best liar?" But you didn't hear that. You were already lying in a cold dirt grave in Spain. July 10th, 1943. D-Day, but not Normandy. Sicily. 160,000 Allied soldiers hit the beaches. Wehrmacht defense was weak because the tanks were in Greece, because the soldiers were waiting on the wrong front, because a dead man had lied. The landing went far easier than expected. Casualties were minimal. Sicily fell within weeks. From there, Italy. From there, into the heart of Europe. The foundation for D-Day was laid. And you, Glyndwr Michael, a homeless man nobody cared about, made history. Of course, no one still knew your real name. The war ended. Year 1945. MI5 still kept Operation Mincemeat classified. But in 1950, Ewan Montagu wrote a book, The Man Who Never Was. The book became a bestseller. Hollywood made a movie. Everyone was talking about William Martin, but you were still nameless. Montagu didn't reveal your true identity. Why? Because maybe there were other operations. Maybe other bodies had been used. Maybe they'd need to use this technique again. For years, the real victim of history's greatest intelligence operation remained unknown. Until 2003, 60 years later, a historian, John Steele, researched morgue records. He found Glyndwr Michael. He learned your story, how you died alone, how you were used, how you made history, but your name wasn't even mentioned. Steele launched a campaign. He wanted a new inscription placed on your grave in Spain. It happened in 2012. The stone now reads, Glyndwr Michael, served as Major William Martin, R.M. Now your real name is known, but still, no one knows your real face. Because all the photos were taken as William Martin. Yours were destroyed. Now let's go back and ask the real question. Was this operation ethical? You didn't consent. After you died, your identity was stolen. Your body was used like a bargaining chip. But on the other hand, it saved the lives of 160,000 soldiers. It shortened the war. It maybe saved millions of civilian lives. The trolley problem, but with dead bodies. Sacrifice one man's dignity, save thousands. Montagu never answered this question. He only said, in war, ethics are a luxury. We had no choice. But what would you have thought? Unknown, because you were never asked. But the story doesn't end here, because Operation Mincemeat wasn't alone. MI5 did more. Operation Fortitude. Before D-Day, they created a fake army to draw the Germans away from Normandy. Inflatable tanks, fake radio traffic, phantom divisions. They even made Patton the commander of the fake army. The Germans believed it, because with your story, they'd created a precedent. The perception had formed, the British are perfect at lying, even using the dead. The chain reaction that started with you changed history. What about today? Do intelligence services still use dead bodies? Official answer, no. Real answer, we don't know. Because if they're using them, we'll only find out 60 years later. But the techniques have evolved. Physical corpses aren't used anymore. Digital corpses are used. Deepfake identities, fake social media profiles, bots, algorithms. But the principle is the same. A lie, when equipped with the right details, becomes more convincing than the truth. You're the prototype for modern operations. But now, let's get to the darkest truth. What this operation taught history. Lesson 1. The dead are tools used by the living. Lesson 2. Identity isn't a right, it's data. Intelligence can take this data, change it, delete it. Lesson 3. Individual dignity can be sacrificed for collective purpose. And society applauds this because the ends justify the means. Lesson 4. Whoever controls truth controls reality. The Germans tested the authenticity of the documents. But they never asked, could the body have been deliberately planted? Because that question was illogical. It had never been done before. You made them think the unthinkable, and that's why they won. So, what's the real tragedy of your story? This. You were used, but never complained, because you couldn't. Your identity was stolen, but you couldn't resist, because you were dead. You made history, but for 60 years your name wasn't even mentioned. And the most ironic part? When you were alive, nobody cared. Homeless, alone, you killed yourself in desperation. But after you died, you affected millions. You changed the war. You wrote history. If this is a success story, it's the most dystopian success story there is. Today, there's a grave in Huelva, Spain. 2 names are written on the stone. Glyndwr Michael and William Martin. Both are you. One real, one a lie. But which is more important? Your real identity or the fake identity that changed the world? Tourists come and take photos. Wow, history's greatest espionage operation, they say. But nobody asks this. Glyndwr Michael, would you really have been okay with this? If you'd had a choice, would you have said no? Or would you have thought, at least I had a purpose? The answer is buried in your grave with you. But maybe the most disturbing question is this. How many more Glyndwr Michaels are there? How many nameless people were turned into pawns in government's games? How many corpses were given identities and used for lies? How many William Martins are there whose documents were destroyed, names censored, realities erased from history? MI6 files are still sealed. CIA archives are still classified. Mossad records will never be opened. Maybe the only difference with your story is that it came to light. Maybe you're a visible exception. The others are still in the dark. That's why we're telling your story. Because this isn't just a World War II operation. This is a lesson about the nature of power. States are bigger than individuals. Facts are less important than strategy. And even death can't free you from the system's control. Even after you died, your body was treated as an asset, your identity was reprogrammed, and you were made to serve a purpose. In Orwell's 1984, it says, Big Brother is watching you. But in your story, Big Brother is using you, even after death. Dystopia isn't in the future. It's inside history. Now, when you close this screen, you'll think, am I being controlled too? Is my data part of an operation? My social media profile, my digital footprint, my online identity? Do these belong to me? Or is someone in the background using them like William Martin? Glyndwr Michael was used physically. You're being used digitally. The difference is only the medium. The principle is the same. You are data, and data gets rewritten by whoever wants it. Operation Mincemeat's real legacy is terrifying because it was proven to work. And if something works, it gets repeated. Similar tactics were used throughout the Cold War. The KGB created fake dissidents. The CIA created fake coup leaders. Both sides used truth as a weapon. And in the 21st century, that weapon went digital. No need for corpses anymore. Need algorithms. Your dead body is the ancestor of modern misinformation campaigns. Every fake news, every deepfake, every bot account, they're all your descendants. In the end, we must understand this. Glyndwr Michael's story isn't an exception. It's a prototype. He was used because he was helpless, because he had no one, because he couldn't resist. And how many nobody people are there in the world today? Millions. Refugees, homeless, undocumented. They're all potential William Martins. Maybe not their corpses, but their identities, their data, their stories can be used. The system learned how to do this and applied it successfully. Ethical? History writes the ethics of the winners? That's why I'm leaving you with a question as we end this story. If you died tomorrow and the state used your identity for a national operation, would you be okay with it? If you say, "But I'll already be dead, what does it matter?" You agree with Glyndwr Michael. If you say, "No, that's disgusting," then know that the system won't wait for your approval. Because the dead have no rights, only purposes for use. Operation Mincemeat taught you this. The rest is up to you. Now close the screen, return to your daily life. But every day, think about every piece of data you give. Because one day, that data might make history too. In your name or someone else's? You can't know, because you didn't know either, Glyndwr.